update for the energy of May. Angels are now telling me it's kind of like an anchor point video, an anchor point in time-space reality, where I'm seeing the word and I'm getting the feeling of pivot. So I'm seeing the word pivot and I'm feeling that there's an anchor point, let's say here, this microphone here, but I'm seeing it more as a dot, right? And it goes out like a funnel like that. So at this anchor point that we're at this dot in the matrix of time, and the reality is there is no time. Time is an illusion, and that all time is happening at once. So the anchor point they're showing me now, the present moment, and that's where we're to anchor. We're to anchor in the present moment, and this here is like a funnel shape, which is suggesting that we open ourselves up. Many of us have felt restricted, constricted, and I'll get into this more soon, and like closed, tight, uptight, and holding in. And so they show me that the anchor point now is a moment in time, time space reality, where we are pivoting. And they show me now it's like swiveling on a swivel chair, and you've always looked at things one way from this perspective, and now the chair swivels, and now you see it from this perspective. And it's very much like the concept of timelines, where they say, the angels are laughing now, saying it's the concept of this is what is happening right now, that now moment. So perhaps by watching this video now, you'll be activated in the now moment of the timeline changes. I'm also reminded of they're showing me a symbol that I've had before of revolving doors, right? So, there's office buildings that have the revolving doors, right? You go in one door and you enter a new reality and then you come back out, right? That's how they're showing me what timelines can be like. It's like you go through this portal and then the doors open to a whole other space. Trouble is, or the difficult parts have been not being able to feel like you can get there, feeling like you are out of transmission, that when you turn the engine on, it's like it chugs and you can't move. So you're stuck in the car of an unmoving vehicle. And the irony is they're saying you're in your vehicle, your body system, your auric field, your container, your grid system, that is your vehicle, and you're in there, and they're showing me that who's driving it, right? So the vehicle is you. Actually, you're driving the vehicle. So they show me that to see you as the driver, as not as the old human self, the lower self, the density self, your old version you, to start to see that shifting now as you're entering the higher version you, the next level you, your upgraded version. And so they show that although it seems like as you try to ignite the ignition of the vehicle, your vessel is needed to be under maintenance, repair. They show me the under maintenance sign, literally actual sign, like a little road sign. And I'm showing also like a mechanic. So your car being at the mechanics and having to stay for a while longer than what you expected. And every time you try to call, how's my car going? Hello, hello up there. Um, you're not getting an instant response, or there's delays, right? Or it feels like malfunction on all levels, including the telephone line system. And so this is interesting because I had other things I wanted to say, which I still will, but this is kind of coming through first. So I'm just going with it and where it wants to go. So they show me that you're in this vehicle that's unmoving, even though you're trying to ignite the ignition. And it's the reality around you that is changing. So you're still in the same vehicle, or you have been, and for each person, this notion of time will be different, right? So for some, the notion of time will be, oh, I've already done that and I've passed it. Some it will be right now, in the now, and for others it will be upcoming in your now moment. And the time just clicked to 11:11. I just noticed it. Perfect. And before I prepared for this, I saw the sign, the number 1010, which for me is always a sense of completion, but it carries like we've just passed a whole big stage. Okay, which is perfect because it all connects, right? Which is also why, even though I'd planned to do something else this morning, I have so much work to do. I just kept getting the message. It's now time to give a message out. So I always follow that. So you're in this car, and reality around you is changing and shifting, right? And you'll notice it when you go, for example, to a supermarket or to the mall, and just it seems like everyone's moving around in a scuffle when they're kind of in a different reality and you're in a different reality. It's when you really notice that shift changing. Okay. So from that, I want to now get to a couple of things that I've wanted to mention. So about recent energies. So about a week ago, there was, and just, this is ongoing. And it's even before then, and not sure what status we're at now, and will be happening more as we move along. However, there have been major, major big solar flares, right? This is when we talk about the class level of solar flares, which, the really big ones are like X class, and there's been several of those, and solar storm, like really, really massive, big light energy coming in. And we are affected by this. I think scientists even know that it can affect tech, for example. On a spiritual level, the sun, which representing, source energy and light, is being so activated, and so much high level light is coming in. And when that happens, we feel so like bombed by it because it is such a high level. And so, whereas if you're already feeling pretty good and you've done the work and you're quite clear, you can experience it quite amazingly. Like, oh, this is great. Or you can still go through some kind of aching. They show me now like teething pains, right? And a whole host of symptoms can be experienced. If we're carrying a lot of dense energy, we're working through some stuff, can be absolutely abhorrent. So, I've been in that category. But everything's for a reason, right? Because we're all moving through our own cycles. We've all got our own sort of like karmic patterning and issues to work through and stuff like that. So, so this big, big light has come in, and the symptoms you can feel from this solar energy. And I will make another video about that alone. But so many things. So, for example, headaches, heart palpitations, aches and pains, tiredness or insomnia, so many things. I won't go through the whole list. And I always like to say, always seek medical advice, right? And be sensible when it comes to what they call ascension symptoms. But basically, it's just been affected, like being affected by anything. So it completely makes sense. The reason for this big light coming in is it's to move us into upgrade. So right now, today, I'm feeling that upgrade energy, but it's taken ages to be able to get there. And again, each is in their own level. What I've been finding in recent times is that we've gone through all these years, those of us on the awakening path of experiencing when the influx of light comes in, and it's amazing, and it's for a longer period of time. And then we go through the sinkhole, and then there's a period of time of that. Because so much light just keeps streaming in, it's almost like there's no break. So that's another point I wanted to make. It's like it's so rapid. We don't know what's happening always. And we get to the point sometimes where we can't handle it. We feel like we're having a mental breakdown. Everything just seems to be so awful and difficult and heavy and confusing. And you can literally feel like you're going to the loony bin. And, you know, um, one of the points also is this with this strong light, it can feel like you're under a pressure cooker and you're about to blow at any second. It's like a combustion engine about to blow up feeling. And I've made a note. All we're all on different paths, and experiencing similar symptoms or different depending, and that goes for any energy. That's the same. There's also an ancestral link for many of us, or some of us, or let's just say a group of us are going through really huge family or ancestral stuff that we're working through. So have a think about that too, and how that fits for you. So I'm just going to read some notes that I wrote. I actually wrote this several days ago. Okay, but because there's been so much light and so constant, so ongoing with no or barely any breaks, no periods where you can go for a while, right? Because you might get it for a day or two, but then it's like wham again, right? You get bombed again. You feel like you're jammed under the pump, pressure cooker. You really get it together. You think you're going psycho, um, like so many things. So I've already mentioned some of that. So you as a light worker, as an empath, or as an old soul, whatever you resonate with, but really, I like to say just a spiritual soul, consciously evolving soul, right? Um, you so let's just see what it says here. Your role of coming here, if you see it as an overarching role, we don't need to get so caught up with our life purpose because people can get really stuck with that. It's just the overarching reason to come in as part of this group of souls that are similar to yours or from the same kind of like group as yours, is to now let my mate need my glasses here for a second. Okay, is to receive, process, hold the light. And once you do that, then, and this upgrade happens, you're then able to issue it out either consciously or just by your mere presence. Other people around you benefit from this light. And that is how you are able to move forward your family, people around you, your workmates, your friends, whoever it is in your sphere. And it rolls out like that. And Angela's showing me now it's like rolling out a carpet or rolling out a mat of green grass, fake grass. Which it doesn't have to be fake, does it? It can be real grass. How it's rolled up and then you roll it out. So and it says and when it was rolled up, it was in a kind of darkness, right? Because it was all in its shadow. And then as you roll it out, the light pours on it and it's open and it's a release. So there's two things. It could be a release or it can just be, okay, now we're in the light, we're in the upgrade, but it's all interconnected, right? And it rolls out. And as it rolls out, it then affects other people in a positive way. What's the word I'm looking for? There's a phrase, like ripples in a pond. And then your outreach is higher, further, and next level. So that is what you've been preparing for, and that is what is happening now, or at whatever time, space, reality is appropriate for you personally. So with so much light having come in, we've been double, triple, infinity whammed with it, and that feeling that like you're going to blow. If you're in one of the groups of people who it's been all too much, or you've just contained so much pain and agony within you and like trauma, and you're working through a whole bunch of stuff, and it just feels like it's either unmoving or it's been really slow and long, or whatever it is, but you're in this container of constriction and sort of mental, emotional, spiritual pain, then I wrote down a couple of questions that came through for this. So really have a feel and a think. This is when you get into your intuitive self. As this light comes in, can you, well, accept it? So have a feel. Two, receive it. They're similar, but accepting is saying, okay, I accept it. Right? And when you receive, you're really opening yourself up to receive. Three, can you contain it? So how is your container? Is it so jammed? Is it so dense? Or have you moved through a lot and maybe like me, you've still got like this quota to go, like a portion to go at whatever percentage, and you might actually see that percentage roughly. You might see that you've got about a quarter to go. It needs to move through. As you open yourself up, you accept and you receive, and your container receives more light, your quota of light is bigger, larger, stronger, more powerful because it's also a more powerful light than before. And then can you So the third one was contain it, and the fourth one is process it. And then it would go on. And fifth one is then issue it out. But we don't have to always consciously issue it out, like I've mentioned prior. You can also just by your mere being, by your mere personal upgrade and containment of light, it can then benefit other people without you physically having to do things. Which moves me on to another point, side point I'd like to make, and I would like to talk about this more in the future, which is gone are the days. This is how I've been moving through my understanding of, us who are uh, spiritual souls, the hard lessons that we've learned in life, right? And I know for a lot of us Earth Angel types, we are massive givers. And you will know all the sacrificing and all the giving you've done. And then you come to realize at certain points, well, hang on a minute. What about me? Or who's giving me that? And it's not a greedy thing, it's just coming into a realization, a big realization of who's taking from you, what you're giving out too much of. And do you really need to jump in and be the first to volunteer for something, right? And when you come back and you start to say no to things, or just to not be the first always to give, or to maybe just have more discernment in your giving. And it's not to say you're suddenly now not giving, but you're giving to yourself and you're allowing everything to happen to you. And that's what I've been doing. And as I'm growing more light, I'm then able to speak to you. And then it goes on from there and it has a ripple effect, right? So when you're in this space of realizing, and then you move through and you're up on the other side of it, or you're just in a much better place than before about that, you realize that, okay, I don't need to rush out always and um, help everyone. And like now I need to run off like my little fairy with my light and shine a light everywhere. Yes, so many of us did that before. And yes, you can still do that when you feel that calling and it feels right for you. That can be wonderful. However, it can also be holding it, noticing what is it I need to know for me? What is it I need to grow, to learn, to develop into for myself, for my family, for my home, right? For now. What is it I'm missing, and what is it I'm needing, and what is it that still needs tweaking? All of those things. And so your power, your light, your attention, your intuition, your manifestation of the reception, so of receiving of the light, how you put out the action from that is more contained in a way where you've pulled back and you've learned the lessons and you're like, okay, and then when you are ready, you will enact whatever you need to enact, or you can, or you'll do whatever feels right for you, and so on. So just notice that difference. Sometimes when we pull back a bit, we can feel a host of negative feelings like it all gets too much, um, or feeling alone or isolated or more adrift from other people, and there's more disconnection, whatever. Hang in there, work through it, and you'll know when the time is right. Okay, so there are some things that I wanted to say, and I pulled some cards also. Okay, so I started just with, my trusty angel cards. These were my first Drawing Virtue angel cards that I ever bought so many years ago now. And they're very simple. They're very basic cards. They're my connection to the angels, and from so long ago. And I felt like for this particular pull, I wanted to have the position of that a card comes out for lessons, present moment, the past, and the future. But I felt like the lessons was really important. Interestingly, that flows really well with what I just said, which I didn't realize that this one is retreat. And I was just talking about when you're retreating back. So many of us, and we did it a lot last year too, but that was a whole other energy last year, right? And there can be suffering in retreating, but there can be so much wisdom gained and so much knowledge, so much benefit, so much energy, conservation, and spiritual movement ahead. It's not always acting out, acting out, acting out. That is spiritual evolution. That can also put us back. And that's where you might find that you get sick and then you're pulled back by the universe. Um, so the lesson, it's interesting that it's in the position of lesson, which is one that really came to me that needed to be. shown, revealed, to come through. And so I see this here as this angelic figure, and I see it more as like an earth angel, right? So this person on earth, and interestingly, it might be too subtle to see on the screen, but I had to use my glasses to really see, but it's what I felt, which is that they're holding up this light from source, right? From the, God source, however you view the higher power, and they're recharging. Look, they're recharging. It's almost like they're a lamp of light recharging, and that white purity, the angelics. And that's around a kind of darker landscape. So even there's water flowing, they're being revitalized and renewed for a brighter day ahead, right? That's how I see that. And that's the lesson learned. And if you haven't learned it already, then that to enter your consciousness for the next stage, or moving forward from here. And also allow to give you a sense of okayness, like, oh, it's okay that I retreated in whatever way you retreated back. It's okay if I take a break. It's okay if I stop. Okay if I don't feel like I'm moving ahead and I'm feeling like a big loser and failure, or what the hell's happened with life and all those things. Side note, keep keep in mind also that the external energies of the global situation that we're in economically, I'll just focus on economically to make the point, but it's all the things, right? How we're in this matrix system and trapped, right? And how the monetary system has created this kind of fake inflation and higher cost of living. Okay. So when we go crazy from the world situation and everyone else around us is crazy and acting out from the world situation, we're out of body and we're disconnected from source. And so by retreating back and saying, it's okay if I'm not in this position I thought I was. It's okay if I don't have whatever it is for you, that job, or everything's costing too much. I'm not able to do X, Y, Z, or I really want to do this passion thing, but I can't. How can I in this climate? We can barely get it together, right? All of those things. So the lesson also in that is that you are sustained from source, even when you feel depleted, even when you feel like nothing's moving forward, or you're even going backwards, or you're confused about everything. Know that even if it's difficult, this is either what's happening now or has been, or what you're entering into, or to know that it's the lesson. It's okay. Source is always going to sustain you. Just hang in there. And then, that will turn and change or shift to the next lot. Then in the present position was ideas and inspiration. So that matches now that feeling of grade, which is making me make this video, right? Because I'm graded in this second. It also took me clearing my energy yesterday and making the massive effort to do so. It was my first stage, and that made me feel better. And today I feel even more better, and it's aligned with whatever energy is happening at the moment. As the light comes in and you are ready for it and you are activated, that's where you hear the guidance now, right? See that angel whispering in the ear of the person. They're receiving the wisdom, the guidance, and they're enacting out in it, and they feel light, bright, and inspired. In the past is this listening card, and that's like needing to listen to the to guidance from the higher realms, and really like, for some people having a hard time doing that, is my ear is kind of getting sore, energy ear, so it's felt like denser, the connection. um or there's also a feeling of, but are you hearing me? Are you seeing me? Why is my life like this? Why this? Why that? Hello, hello, right? That's the feeling I get from that also. And in the future position, freedom, which of course that's perfect, right? And and this is where we're heading, freedom from all, ourselves even, right? And our past and our dramas and just everything. So whatever that means for you. Okay, so then in the other cards I pulled, and I often use these, which are the crystal ally cards, for energy, and it speaks of the transformational period that we're in. So I asked for cards to represent this influx of energy we've been receiving, all this big solar energy, and light, and how it's sort of been difficult just to give any insight about that. And so we have the transformation here. You just see this person reaching up, right, and getting sort of charged by light. And interestingly, the crystal associated that with Moldavite, and that's a crystal where they say is such a powerful transformation and upgrade that you can have just from this crystal alone. They kind of warn people against working with it or even just having one if they're not ready for it. So I completely understand that, right? So that's just a little side note there that kind of connects. But I feel that that person is jumping out from whatever in, container they were in. So they had this big cup. But now, as they do so and they break free from that, then they embrace the light and it really charges them up. Then we have the love card, which is always the beautiful rose quartz, one of my favorite crystals, just that love energy. So many of us, it's reminding me of the heart area. So I know this has been for me as well. I've had major sort of issues energetically and that sort of manifesting physically in the heart area. And it's also an area where we got undergoing ascension symptoms. We can feel stuff in the heart, such as flutters or just heaviness. And the angels show me that I'm reminded that we also don't forget the back of ourselves. So the back of behind the heart, that back area. And for some people, I feel like you've been having some back issues, right? And they also show me it's connected. Oh, there are wings there. I thought there were two hands holding a heart, and I was just thinking they're showing me wings. And then I just thought they are wings. Beautiful. They're two wings. So I get two in one. Like it does look like sort of hands are holding a heart, right? But they're also the wings behind us, our etheric wings. That is the message that I've been receiving a month or so ago, and when I'm ready, I'll further talk about that because that's a whole other thing too. Um, and that's what it's all about. As they say, it's the love energy, right? That's what we love. That's what feels the most right for us. And that's the least that we see out there in the world, and especially according to media. So just keep at that and allow your heart to be your guiding light as well for you. Okay, then we have path of service and higher self. So often get these cards, they're very well connected, right? So this is now, okay, we're streaming in, right, all that sort of gunky energy that we've been releasing and purging and going through and stored up with. We're entering this light sort of portal into the next space, time space reality. And this is always such a strong, powerful card, selenite, which is those two white posts there. I love selenite. It's one of my favorite, if not the favorite crystals. Very high vibrational. I just love it. It's at once high vibrational and calming in a higher way, which is really amazing. That's how I feel from it anyway. And then we have the black tourmaline, which is highly protective and grounding there. So it's reaching up into the energy there. So we can read that as the sun or the moon or just like a portal of light. And it also reminds me of the eclipse that happened on April 8th. And we're still working through that energy that's going to be ongoing for the next 6 months or so until the next one. And so much emotional energy and storm energy there. And so this is what we're moving into, right? That transformation, the heart stuff, and leading to this. Okay. And then a few other cards that came out with that too is see how that matches with the heart too. That's the inner child. So many of us have been going through inner child traumas, inner child healing and processing. So see how that fits for you also. This one is about insight and action. So these cards is where I asked also for moving forward from there. So we've been working on heart healing, and that's opening up now. See that kind of sun image there? So that's the solar boosting us up and lifting us up to the next level of that. That can be ongoing, but we've really done a lot of big work. And then we have this insight card, which is our intuition. Oh, I got a finger cramp. Oh, okay. Okay, it's better now. And it's really showing us that we're now, as we're upgraded, we're moving into higher insight. So our higher self connection, right, is got the wrong two cards here. Sorry, here we go. Our higher self connection is helping us align higher and to gain the insight that we're needing and been asking for to go next level or to be clear about our choices. I'm also showing now that the two posts represent choices also. And some people have been having trouble making decisions or choices or feeling like it's just not being given to us, or it's been on hold, or it's almost like there's a block over it, or we felt like there's a block over you. And now as we're receiving this energy and we're upgrading and we've been shedding and our light quota is increasing, we're able to move into that higher self connection and therefore make higher aligned choices or gateways being opened for that. And of course the action card, then it's time to leap forward, right? Take that leap of faith, take action. It also reminds me that we're in a leap year. And often what happens when a really benevolent energy comes through, we can experience the opposite and think, hang on a minute, this was supposed to be this, but it's that. So for example, 2020, that was meant to represent 2020 vision. Right. However, it got taken over, it got hijacked, if you like, and came something completely different. However, if you understand everything is black and white, light and dark, duality here on Earth, the higher vision did come, that 2020 vision. You received it. If you're awake, alert, and you're noticing what's really going on behind the scenes, what the higher meaning really is, we received it. We got it. At whatever time that was, we got it. And so it's the same with this. So even though we've entered a leap year and then we might have received blockages and then like the global crisis and this and that. However, it's still a leap year and at the right moments we'll be leaping forward. Also, as we head towards the Lionsgate time in August, but I want to make a separate video on that. Okay. And so, and there's a lot of fire energy there. So that's very sort of Leo energy for August as well. So it's making me feel that. So where are we now? We're in late May. So June, July, August, yeah, 3 months. So in the next 3 months, just notice the changes. So you'll be going through shifts where you'll feel like you're moving ahead and you can take leaps and take action. There might be times where we're pulled back and we need to retreat, but you've learned the lesson, remember? The lesson of retreat. Go there when you need to, even if it's frustrating. You can't push it. Okay, and interesting now, see the orange is there and the orange is here. So that's still going to happen, but it will be in a higher way that we can't always see in the present moment. Okay. And having mentioned present moment, let's just realign back to the very first thing I said today, which the angels had brought through, which is about being in the present moment, in the now. And that is the answer to everything. And that is where you connect with your heart and the truth of all. So I'll leave you with that thought. Please do write a reply. Let me know how you've been going, what resonated, where you're at, and how you're feeling at present, and whether you now are feeling a bit more uplifted or like any of those messages really helped you see things and okay, and you can be ready for the next, whatever next is coming, right? Okay. So thank you so much for listening. Lots of love to all, and see you soon.